Well, if you've been coming to All Saints for a while, you'll probably be aware that we're facing problems with our building. The acro props here, I didn't know what they were a year ago, but now I do. The acro props here on my right are a weekly reminder that all is not well and that there's a fairly urgent need for us to do something about it. The problem for us, as for many in this local area, is subsidence. You probably know that if your house is built on chalk, you're fine, and if your house is built on clay, you're not. And this area of the building is proving particularly vulnerable to subsidence. Well, over the past year, we've been working hard to find a solution. We invited members of the congregation, you may remember this time last year, to form what we've called the Big Build group. And there was a wonderful response. Within days, we had a team of 12 people who were willing to commit themselves to finding a way forward. Here we are. I think we're all looking at our best, wouldn't you say? I think I'm a few years younger in that one. And I have to say that we've had a really inspiring year together. There are many gifts and talents across the group, including Bijou, a newly qualified architect, and people with financial, business and buildings experience, and a wide range of perspectives and areas of expertise. Well, at the beginning of our time together, we visited 5 or 6 local churches who'd recently undertaken building projects. Often that had involved putting in a kitchen facilities and toilets, and making the buildings more welcoming and accessible, both for the congregations for themselves, but also for local community groups. And I have to say, we were inspired by what local churches had achieved, churches the same sort of size as us, often raising a lot of the money themselves. And those visits helped us to think through what an ideal plan would be for our buildings, rather than focusing on just what needs to be fixed. Well, the next thing we did was to find an architect. And again, we invited 5 or 6 architects and their firms to come to All Saints and share their ideas. It was helpful, free information, actually. And after much discussion, we decided on this company, Robin Nugent and his partners, Jasmine Davey and Chelsea Cartner. They're a local firm based in Horsham, and their particular specialities was they had a lot of experience of working with churches. And together we talked through our vision for the buildings, driven of course by our wider vision to welcome everyone, to grow disciples of Jesus Christ, and to deepen a sense of community, those words you see on our parish logo every Sunday. And together with our architects, a vision for the building started to emerge. We realised that actually the foyer, that area as you come in, should be the focus of our redevelopment plans. A member of the congregation, someone who was relatively new to church, made the point that when you come through the doors here, the welcome you receive is warm. But when you come into the foyer, it doesn't say anything like the same thing. It's drab, it's dark, it's shabby, and we only have one toilet. So we gradually realised that extending and redeveloping the foyer would open up all sorts of possibilities. It would allow us to put in a new kitchen with facilities to cater for many different events here in the church itself. Over the past year, you may know, we had a pancake party in church, and then very recently the harvest supper and fish and chip night, along with the quiz. And we were able to serve refreshments there, also after special services, such as the All Saints' Day choral evensong. I think we realised that hospitality is a key part of the DNA of All Saints, and being able to do that better would enhance both our ministry and our mission to the wider community. As you know, increasingly community groups are using our church during the week. The toddler group every Friday, Prologue Youth Theatre 3 nights a week. And being able to offer refreshments and hospitality more easily would be a great asset for us as well as a congregation. And of course, those 3 new toilets are essential. So, Robin Nugent and Jasmine and Chelsea drew up some potential plans for us. Now, you won't be able to see this very clearly, but over coffee in the hall, Trish has printed out some big A1 sheets for us to peruse as we drink our coffee today. But they might give you just a bit of a sense, if you can work it out, of what we're aiming to do in the foyer area. Essentially, what we're planning to do is extend the foyer out in that direction over that grassed area between here and the car park. Put in a kitchen and toilets, as we've said, but also extend in Trish's office and putting it right at the front so that when people have arrived, they see Trish's friendly face as the first thing during the week. We think we need a seating area, hospitality area with a nice coffee machine. If your children have ever done ballet on a Saturday morning and you've sat in your car in the rain, it might be nice to come into church, make yourself a coffee, feel a bit welcome. And we hope that those plans will speak of welcome and just support that vision to grow disciples and deepen a sense of community here. And there are other aspects of the plan as well, putting in new storage, both in the church and in the hall. And what's become clear over the months is that this area, this land, it really is too unstable to substantially rebuild on. But we also felt that the way the reading room, if you've been into that room, has developed into an alternative chapel over the past few years, and which is used for smaller services on a regular basis, compensates in many ways for the loss of our original chapel. So hopefully these plans just capture the essence of the project, and they're now at a stage to go to the architects to be developed into full and detailed plans which can go forward for planning permission. So I hope that gives you a little snapshot of the work of the Big Build group so far. And do talk to any member of the group. If you can't remember exactly who we are, there's a photo in the foyer as well. Do talk to people if you want to find out more. Steve, I can see, and Sophie, and all sorts of people dotted around. Alison, Robin, do have a word and find out more about the plans. There's also, if you like reading, there's also more information on the website. If you've not had a look there, there's a lot of information there which Trish has put up. And also all the meeting notes are on the website too. So if you enjoy that kind of investigation, do have a look at the website for more detail about where we've got to. So, elephant in the room, what will it cost? I'm sure that's a question in all our minds and one which needs serious consideration. The bad news, the challenging news, is that Ecclesiastical, our insurers, the insurers we've had for many years, don't cover us for subsidence. So that's a big challenge for us. There will be no help from our insurance on this project. So that means that we will need to raise a substantial amount of the cost of the project ourselves. There will be some grant funding, but I think the majority of the project we will need to raise ourselves if we wish to go ahead. And I think that's something we need to consider honestly, prayerfully and carefully. Are we willing to take this step of faith? For that's certainly what this project will be. Do we believe that this is the way the Lord is leading us? And we'll certainly need his guiding and direction in the months ahead. Are we willing to embrace the hard work, commitment, generosity that this project will involve to secure the future of our buildings? They're questions we need to honestly ask ourselves. And that's where I think Jesus' parable of the talents for today is so helpful. As we've heard, it describes a man going on a journey and trusting his property to his servant. He gives one 5 talents, one 2, and one just 1. Talent in those days was a unit of coinage. We discover that the first 2 put their talents to good use and are strongly commended. They're beautiful words the master says to them. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in small things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Beautiful words of affirmation. But as you heard in the reading, he was ruthless with the 3rd servant who buried his talent in the ground. I think it's a parable that can seem unfair on the surface of things. Why does he give them different numbers of talents? Why is there no equity in this parable? But I think that's the point, really. It's not about how much we have, how much we possess, how many gifts and talents we own. Jesus' point is that we need to put our gifts and resources and abilities to give them to the full for the glory of God and for the coming of his kingdom. It's not about how much we have, it's about how we use it. And so today, as we consider this big building project, I'd ask you to consider how you might be willing to use your gifts and resources to enable this project to happen. As we've seen, members of the Big Build group are already contributing their time, gifts and expertise, and that's something I'm hugely grateful for and would like to acknowledge today. But now we need to raise some financial resources. These are kind of set-up costs for the project. As you can see there, we're facing architects' fees, very substantial. A whole range of different surveys so that we know the full truth about the building and the site before we think about going ahead. An energy audit, we're hoping to go net zero as part of the project, and various other bits and pieces. And you may know that we've set aside next Sunday, 26th, as our gift day for the Big Build project. There'll be other gift days to come, but this is the first one, hoping to raise $25,000 to cover these initial set-up costs. And I'm pleased to let you know some of that money has already come in. And in many ways, I think this gift day will help us decide as a congregation whether we're committed to taking on this great venture of faith. It is, I think, the biggest thing that we'll do together for a generation. And it will require the gifts and talents and hard work of all of us. If you believe that this is what the Lord is calling us to do, then I would encourage you to give as generously as you can to enable us to cover these set-up costs. There's a new flyer at the back, Tricia's updated for us, with a bit more information, including gift aid form and information about how to give. So I think it might be in your news sheet, so do have a look at that when you get home. And finally, as we consider Jesus' parable of the talents, I pray that we will be those who are faithful in all that we've been given. And I pray too that one day we will be those who hear Jesus' words to us. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.